very good evening to you tuned in to UBC TV. Thank you so much for making us part of your evening. My name is Michael Jordan Lokomwa, coming in with another edition of Pic A Point, our weekly talk show that only targets you learning something whenever you watch it. Now, the year is coming to an end. We just have days to say bye-bye to 2019. But as we assess, each one of us assesses or takes an assessment of how they have performed, we are going to look at sector per sector, and we are giving an opportunity to to those sectors that we shall manage to reach. How have they performed in general? We shall not handle details, but in general. So we want to look at how Uganda has performed in 2019 in as far as economics and economic development is concerned. That's why we can base to foresee what could come in 2019 and how we can touch wherever to see that things move the positive way. So this evening we looked around, and our choice was somebody who always gives us time, and he's still in the economic field. His name is Dr. Eli Twinel. He's the executive director of the Uganda Export Promotions Board. Because he's in such kind of busy area, but in the economics field, definitely we'll get some good information from him. Doctor, thank you for hosting us here.
Thank you, and it is my pleasure that we can talk about the year that is ending.
Yes, and still to tell you, we walked Pic A Point out of the studio. We are at his office, and we are going to have the discussion here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for hosting us.
Have they given you some water?
We have already taken the water. Okay. So, Doctor, how would you describe 2019 in as far as economics in Uganda is concerned? How far have we moved? Where have we lagged?
Uganda has made strides, positive steps in the right direction. 2019, but before 2019, even 2018, these were tough years in a way, globally, as you know. They were challenging years. What we call the external economy, those who influence our business, those who influence our economy. When you hear trade wars, Trump, America imposing trade sanctions on China, they affect us. They have an effect on us. But also, other economies were having challenges. At one time, we had Germany was almost entering a recession, and Germany is a very powerful economy within the EU.
Global economy.
And then you have Brexit. Britain has been struggling to exit EU and has failed. we maybe ultimately they will exit, but that has the external influence on Uganda's economy.
All that has affected us anyway.
In a way. Now, then you have the internal factors.
Good.
From 2018, 2019, we have had challenges, which is the standard challenge of seasonality, because our economy and our inflation is affected by the seasons. Food affects our inflation. I know in China they are having challenges of inflation because of the pig. Pork affects their economy because it is a major source of food. So in Uganda as well, food affects our economy. And this has had an effect, but over time we have improved. Towards the end, we have improved. You know, we now have more rain than we need. Maybe one can say. We have more rain than in the previous seasons, and food has increased. Now, with regard to the total economy, we had challenges from 2018 to 19 that some of the exports did not go out of the country because we had challenges in the markets. Unfortunately, we had challenges in the markets that are supposed to be our brotherly markets, our cultural markets, our brothers and sisters. We had challenges, as you know very well. We have missed a lot out of the Rwandese market, for example, for the products that we have been exporting. we have missed out on trade, that you can only now deal with Rwanda by air. As you know, while the borders were closed, Air Rwanda comes in every day and goes back. So,
So you can sneak some cassava into it.
yeah, if you put whatever you put on the plane will be delivered at Entebbe, and you pick it. So we have had what we can call uh, closing of land borders, closing of land borders between us and some countries. We have had challenges with South Sudan not finalizing
The instability.
their instability, their unity government, not harmonizing, coming together, so that we have peace, because that is a big market. Despite that, and I'll come back to this issue, is that Uganda has the GDP is above 22 billion US dollars, and GDP growth remained over 6%. This is exciting, and during my discussion, I'll tell you some of the reasons why that has happened.
Okay. Now, as yes, you have told us the external factors.
Yeah.
From the international kind of perspective,
Yes,
and the regional problems.
Yes.
But besides that, how have we performed in as far as export is concerned? If we just try to ignore the international problems and the regional problems,
Yes.
is there anywhere where we have scored, even with these two problems affecting us?
That's a very good one. Despite these challenges, Uganda has exported to Africa. I'll begin with Africa. Uganda has exported to Africa, EAC, COMESA, and the rest of Africa, has exported 2.11 billion US dollars. Uganda has exported more than 1 billion US dollars of manufactured and value-added products. Uganda has been able to reach out to markets which have been expanding, but where like 10 years ago we were small there as players, like United Arab Emirates. We have been able to export over 520 million US dollars. We have been able to retain our EU market, exporting more than 500 million US dollars. This is important. Why? Because even the exports have been diversified. We are now exporting agricultural products, manufactured products, value addition. We are exporting services. We are also exporting minerals. With regard to service exports, we have exported around, because we have to look at estimates, around 2 billion US dollars. So you as well saying that Uganda exported more than 5 billion US dollars, which is very impressive.
When you talk of service export, are you talking about our brothers and sisters that go for chair?
Now I'll talk about that one. Thank you for asking. Remittances alone have brought in over 1.3 billion US dollars. Remittances over the last 3 years are bringing the same amount of money, dollar money, like tourism. Not like as tourism, same amount. That is what you say, your brothers in diaspora.
Okay.
And that is an export too, so that is a service. But there are other services. Education, if you go to all our universities, you'll find we have become so attractive to other African countries. We have Tanzanians, we have Kenyans, we have South Sudanese, we have Rwandese, we have Nigerians, and other people from different places coming to enjoy our education. That is also an export of services. But have you realized that even we are getting more now than 10 million US dollars out of what we call recreation, arts and performance? Salvador, Anne Kansime, Richard Mahanji, and all these guys and others, and these musicians, Kenzo, Chameleon, Bebe Cool, Bobby Wine, and all these. Bobby Wine as a musician, not the one who is now a politician. These guys are bringing money.
Yes.
So services are expanding. Construction. We are exporting architecture, design, and engineering and construction in the region.
Internationally.
Yes, legal services, audit and financial management services, transport and logistics. I am told even the model of Uber has now been adopted. The safe border has been adopted in Nigeria and other countries.
Now, Doctor,
Yeah.
this doesn't look to be reflected here among the stars as you walk on the streets. The good news you're giving us, Ugandans don't look it. It's like a man in the village working with Bank of Uganda, a very big entity like that. But his children don't look like their father really works anywhere big like that.
No, actually, that's a very good one. They actually, you see, total economy, which normally we call GDP
Yes.
in finance, national income, is so big, and you see, national income, total income is the money we have earned in the economy divided by the total population. Please remember, you are producing a lot. You are producing a lot, so this money is going into roads so that we can access markets. This money is going into power stations, Karuma, Ayago. This money is going into good roads. This money is going into health.
There's a
This,
lot
what
of
you call
that
the social sector, education, because you are producing a lot. Our daughters and sisters are so fertile that they all have an average of 7 children. That's too much. So
Okay.
because of that, your money is going, you don't see it. But I also will tell you, again,
If it
the
would
other,
be a home, it is spent on education.
Yes,
health, so people may not look to have very big chicks and
exactly
tummies.
a lot, because then they are, you are
They're
looking
enjoying
at,
some other services.
Exactly.
Now, give us a picture of the other side.
Yes.
Where do you still see gaps in as far as our performance is concerned, especially 2019?
That's a good one. You see, our economy, when you look at national economy, total economy, for a long time, agriculture used to be the biggest accounting for GDP. And then you'd have others. Now, services are taking the big percentage of the economy, of what we call GDP. Then agriculture is coming later, and then manufacturing. There is a disconnect. And that's why we need to improve, modernize, commercialize agriculture. Agriculture employs more than 70% of Ugandans, but it contributes 20 around to GDP. Services, they don't even employ even a million directly. Direct and indirectly, they don't employ 3 million. If you look at it and you are very critical. But they take GDP half of the total economy. And some of these services are consumer services. I'll tell you what I mean. People are paying a lot of money buying airtime. You know that. People are talking too much on phone, but they are not talking business. Your grandmother in the village also called you and said, "Nterako airtime, nterako nange nterako, njagala kwogera ne jjajja ow'ebuyende." So you are pushing.
She calls 10 people only to say hello.
And she has spent the money.
Yes.
And the challenge with it is that services can employ few people, and they are consumer services. And because they are consumer services, they don't trickle down in the economy. You don't feel them. But agriculture, you would feel it, because every household has some numero. The challenge with agriculture now is that 68 to 69% of our households are in what we call Nkolera Lubuto state. Work for their stomachs. Subsistence agriculture. And that subsistence agriculture, I can tell you, in my view, is that pure like 60%, they sell hardly. I use the word hardly to avoid the word almost, to avoid the word nothing. Nothing hardly goes to the market. So you find a house
If any.
If any. That's the right. You have helped me. If any. So they spend all their money, the little money they get from wherever, including what their sons send them to buy salt, sometimes sugar, and of course sugar is drunk on holidays, and that's all. So they produce matoke, they consume it. They produce dodo, they consume it. Nyanya, tomatoes, papaya, they produce what they consume. And let me tell you, and that is purely subsistence and in the informal sector. The other big sector I need to tell you, Jordan, is the informality of our economy. Uganda is one of the African countries who have the biggest informal sector. Informal sector is difficult to tax, is difficult to quantify for GDP. There are people in Chikubo, there are people in Chisenyi, there are people in Wansihamu and other places. We don't read their money, the word read. Okay. We don't read their money in the system.
It's not detected.
We can't tax it, we can't grow it, we can't use it for accounting purposes, and they earn a lot of money.
I'll come to that, Doctor.
Yes.
So, are you trying to say we no longer deserve the pride of calling agriculture our backbone?
You see, the backbone is a very good word. Agriculture,
it being the backbone of our economy,
yes, because
was almost an anthem.
Yes, because
but if you say that services and industrialization
because one
are now ahead of it.
Yes, I agree, because one, it was contributing more. Majority of exports were from agriculture. Employment was from agriculture. GDP was from agriculture. So purely it was the backbone. I think the backbone, the cartilage seems to be shifting. Some of the joints of your backbone are dented, are demented, and are likely to be falling off.
What explains that?
Again, what explains this is how are we doing agriculture?
Okay.
Agriculture has
subsistence
remained subsistence agriculture, and commercialization is very minimal. We rely on rain-fed agriculture. When there is a dry spell, inflation goes up, because partly inflation of Uganda is explained by food. When there is a dry spell, our GDP is affected, especially the GDP geared and based on agriculture. But then there is the standard 68, now 69% of Uganda's households. You are talking about around 31 households in Uganda are the ones that are not depending on subsistence purely. That economy is having a challenge.
What explains the negative relationship between agriculture, which has been here before even this country was born, before even the kingdoms were born? Agriculture was here.
Yes.
And the new systems that have just come,
yes,
like the services you're talking about,
yes,
the industrialization that you're talking about,
yes,
what have they come with new that have brought the negative relationship that actually they are running faster and outweighing a sector that actually gave birth to them?
The market. Jordan, the answer to this is the market. These services are being sold in the market. Industrialization is picking up. It used to be slow. I am happy it is picking up, and thanks, really, they're doing well. Again, the market. Products from industry, from factories, we produce them for the market. Services, we produce, sell them, exchange them in the market. Agriculture, where you may as well want to say that 70%, almost 70% are in the informal subsistence. So they are not in the market. Let me mention to you this. All economies must graduate from agriculture to industry to services. That is the history, the economic history of countries, how they have developed. In our case, of course, there is a disconnect that I will look at. In Uganda's case, we have failed to graduate from agriculture to industry, which is an upward move to services. The challenge is that we have failed to commercialize agriculture, which becomes a source of raw materials for agri-industrialization, which has markets all around us, within the EAC, within COMESA, within the African Continental Free Trade Area. Developed countries, their market, their contribution, the agriculture sector is so small, but it feeds everybody. So we need
because of the mechanization,
and irrigation, the commercialization, the modernization of agriculture. Our agriculture is not modernized because not everybody should be in households. Not every household should be in what? In agriculture.
At that very point.
Yes.
Who is not doing their job well? In as far as ensuring, because what explains the persistence of informal subsistence agriculture in Uganda? When we have you people who are promoting export, for example, actually, let me start with you yourself. You promote export, where you take whatever we produce here, you know what is needed.
Yes.
You know the kind of coffee that is needed internationally.
Yes.
You know the kind of matoke that is needed internationally.
Yes.
How come you have not put in whatever it takes to ensure that you have the matoke that is worth being packed on a plane to wherever?
That's a good question. Mindset change. The challenge in Uganda has been a mindset, but also the role of opinion leaders and opinion formers. You know, we have opinion leaders and opinion formers, and the issue of mindset change. Because what do you see in Uganda? Everybody who gets some little money, and I've been told by, I heard in the newspapers, IGG said, everybody who steals money from government hides it in what? In agriculture. When they come, say, me, I make my money from my agriculture. Me, I make my money from my cows. I make my money from coffee and matoke. We have failed to address the challenge of agriculture, which is to modernize it. We have concentrated on other aspects, and we thought that this agriculture informality would end by itself. We thought, as in we call it in chemistry, that it was ectothermic, that you would mix chemicals and then you see fire.
There's a statement you made that sounds very serious. That the subsistence module would end by itself.
Yeah, by graduation. How? We thought that by graduation,
without any input or effort.
No, with minimal effort. That because you know human beings respond to what we call incentives. Human beings respond to incentives, and there are two key sets of incentives. One is the positive
and the negative.
So there was a feeling that once I see every time Jordan getting a lot of money out of coffee in a commercial environment, or matoke, or milk,
get to try to learn
or
how
chicken,
he does it.
You get to learn how he does it, and you also join the formal market. That has not happened. Because why it has not happened, you must also consider what we call in economic development, what we call initial conditions. Initial conditions do affect growth of countries. And the initial conditions is that most Ugandans, the literacy rates, the level of literacy at that time was low. And an economy takes more than 50 years to grow. Okay. China was lucky to take 30 years to grow, to get over now around 600 million people out of poverty. They began with 300 million. In 30 years, they went to 600 million. Economies take more than 30 years to develop for Jordan. So the challenge is that we had to work on the literacy levels, because that's an initial condition. To change the mindset of a pure peasant who associates tradition, and at times they are right. I went to my Nimero to farm, and then I brought beans, and these guys told me, I put it in English as well. You have come to plant beans in Gechiro cha Maria Chiseo. That you have come to plant beans when the day of Maria, remembering Maria, the Virgin Maria, the one in the church. So, and I went and planted beans. And they all, what? They do not germinate, they will come out. So, they are using their traditional
So you also got
past
to believe
knowledge.
them.
No, I got to appreciate, not to believe, but to appreciate how it is difficult to change these people because they depend on rain-fed
Because
agriculture.
you somehow succumbed to their belief.
I suffered, yes, because the conditions have molded them since their grandfather's time to believe
That you have to plant before Maria's night.
Maria's death. Because for them, that's how they tell the rain
Okay,
season.
I want us to take a break, but let us wind up
Yeah.
this segment with this
Yes.
one. So, you yourself, Export Promotions Board, like I said,
Yes.
you know what is in Europe in as far as
Yes.
the beans they need
Yes.
is concerned.
Yes.
Let me leave the MPs and whoever and the councillors alone.
Yes.
Now I have you here.
Yes.
What role have you played to ensure that our people get to know? What is your contribution in as far as opening our eyes to drop the subsistence mentality is concerned?
In fact, now you have come at a right time because as we talk now, my staff are in different regions. Some are in the west, some are in the east. Last night they were in different radios. They have open discussions.
Okay.
They are creating export awareness, telling them from each region what products are marketable and making a business case for different products.
Thank you so much,
And
Doctor.
they'll be going to the north. Thank you.
To you watching, the target of this show is to ensure that you learn something. Yes, we are ending the year. The economy of Uganda is not anything else but you and me in our wallets and how we live our livelihoods. So when we are assessing the economy of Uganda, the performance, we're actually looking at you direct. Economically, how are you doing? So that is what Dr. and I are sharing here. We're taking a very short break. Get that cup of tea and join us as we return.
CNET Uganda is responsible for distributing the dictator signal to Ugandans. We are currently activating all upcountry sites to boost our coverage. Jinja, Mbara, Masaka, Hoima, Soroti and Bale, and now on. Our viewers in those areas are advised to use your free-to-air decoders to pick the signal. CNET Uganda, your sole signal distributor countrywide.
Yes, thank you so much for watching and welcome back from the break. You're still watching Pic A Point here on UBC TV, and this evening we are dedicating it to an analysis of how Uganda has performed, an assessment actually, of how Uganda has performed economically. My guest is Dr. Eli Twineyo, the Executive Director, Uganda Export Promotions Board. He's actually, I realized even after, I realized more that he's actually the best guest for this kind of a topic. Why? He has checked where we sell these products. So he should tell us if there is a problem. He should tell us why, what we have to do. And if he has not told us, he's the best person we have to arrest. And on behalf of all of you, I have him here. Now, Doctor, we have discussed, actually, I think agriculture is still the backbone because it, not even deliberately, it took most of our minutes.
Yes.
I'm giving it just a few more.
That's true.
How do you think agriculture can be reboosted to see it regain the backbone status practically than the industrialization and the services?
Thank you very much. One of the
If we choose this is what we should see 2020,
yes,
what can be done?
Because as we graduate in our national, what we call National Development Plan 3, because we 2020 next year we are finishing National Development Plan 2, and then we start National Development Plan 3 as part of our Vision 2040.
Yes.
agriculture has still remained on the table. It has still remained in NDP. Therefore, there is no doubt in this country that we recognize that agriculture is still important for employment, for raw materials for industries and agro-processing, for exports, but also for food, for household food. Now, if that is the case, we need to modernize agriculture before we purely industrialize and then we migrate labor from agriculture to industry.
We normally say that, but in detail, when we talk of modernizing agriculture, exactly what is meant?
Now, that's a good one. Commercialize agriculture. We know, now we know, and the president has been making counter visits.
Yes, at least for him, he tries to break it down.
He has
4-acre model, have
exactly.
this and that and that. But what exactly
Thank you very
practically
much.
should the Ugandan understand in modernizing agriculture?
That the mindset is that he has to produce for the market. How I wish that you can even produce matoke while you consume matoke, you first sell them, you get the money and you buy from your neighbor to eat matoke. That is the mindset.
With the business mentality?
Yes, that you produce for the market.
You should actually buy what to eat. The one you have in your garden should be finished.
Should be finished completely. You
Sold
get the money out of it. Then you plan for this money. One part of the money is consumption, as you know, but the other money is for saving. And the other, then part of consumption improves. You could buy food, education, health, clothing, shelter above your head, and all this. So we need to commercialize agriculture. Commercialization of agriculture does not mean that you have more acres. When the president is talking of 4-acre model, people think like 4 acres. Yet I know there are many Ugandans in Mbende with even square miles of land, and there is nobody on it. So is that a land helping us? It's a forest. They are tenants. They are not tenants even. There are people on the land, you don't even know the owner who is
Snakes
on your
and
land.
squirrels enjoy it.
Snakes and squirrels are doing many things I don't want to see on camera, and you are not getting money. Uganda is fertile. Uganda has arable land. Uganda has the biggest chunk of arable land in ESC. So we need to grow agriculture for raw materials, agriculture for agro-processing, for food, for the market.
I want that final touch.
Yes.
That soft spot that you think we must touch to change the mindset, like you said, it being the problem.
Yes.
To ensure that we have the modern system. What do you think is that?
We need to have...
Because you talk of opinion leaders.
We need to...
We have the political ones.
Yes.
We have you people in offices like this one.
Yes.
We have you organizations, agencies, who actually have your duties that trickle down still and touch agriculture. How come the persistence is there?
I think, Jordan, you have a very good... you keep insisting, and you are very right. One, we need a mindset change.
Yes,
and
how?
We need a national campaign. The president started a campaign of 4-acre model and he has been telling them. But we need a follow-up of these other opinion formers and opinion leaders telling these people. In Uganda, we say that if you make a presentation, if you make a speech, it will forewarned is forewarned. You will not, all of it will not go away. Some people will pick it, others will not pick it. We need a national campaign on commercialization of agriculture. We need to introduce irrigation for those around them, those who can afford to introduce commercial agriculture. We need to migrate away from rain-fed agriculture.
Adopt irrigation.
Adopt irrigation, but then now I call upon government to play a role. For the beginning, we need government to support these efforts in the form of demonstration farms, in the form of other demos, so that people see that irrigation can work, so that people see that there are machines and equipment that can help them. And then we start. But we need to irrigate. We need to run away from rain-fed agriculture. We need to commercialize. We need a national campaign, like we got a campaign on HIV/AIDS, because that campaign went to church, went to mosques, went to the state, went to parliament, went everywhere. We need that campaign. We will not get out of poverty, I tell you, for the record, without graduating the 60 68 to 69% households which are in the informal sector will not.
Okay. What are the gaps that you see in our other areas of the economy, now agriculture aside?
Now, challenges of implementation are there. Most people complain that the budget is not enough. The budget will never be enough, even at household level. The challenge of implementation. Government is playing a role. Every year, government allocates a budget.
True.
Every year, government allocates a budget. How are we using this budget to implement what we say in our budget framework papers? Because every government ministry, every government agency has got what we call a budget framework paper, a ministerial policy statement, in which we commit that we are going to do every 1, 2, 3, and we get results. The issue is not lack of money. We are not implementing, we are lacking coordination. We have government agencies in their own silos. You find that this ministry is not working with the other ministry. This agency is not coordinating with the other agency, yet they are supposed to achieve when they work together. Today we were in a meeting organized by MOOBS, Minister of Finance, and Freddie Kebert Foundation, and they were analyzing the issue of what is the problem with Uganda's industrialization approach and strategy. And they said the issue is only implementation. The issue is implementation.
Implementation of what, for example?
For example, the challenge we are having, like again I say, every year we give money to Ministry of Agriculture, isn't it?
Yes.
We give money to Ministry of Works, we give money to Ministry of Lands, we give money to Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Trade and Industry gets very true. We give money to all these other agencies, tourism everywhere, isn't it? In a nutshell, what people call industrial strategy is the strategy that you would use to prepare a country into graduate from agriculture to industry. And industry does not necessarily mean manufacturing. They are what we call industries or factories without smokestacks. Like if you modernize horticulture, flower farms, and you are getting more than $50 million, which we do, that's an industry. If you modernize horticulture and it becomes an industry and a commercial one, chili, and we get a lot of money. So we can have industries with smokestacks, industries without smokestacks.
Okay.
But government's budget must be for service delivery, as the private sector does with their own investments. They produce goods and services.
Okay. Yes, you said it is performing very well and actually ahead of the agricultural sector currently. But how do you describe, or what other elements do you see with our industrial sector that is growing to the rate that you see? Where do you think we have to touch to boost it more, and to stop what things do you think should be stopped that may affect it in future? From 2010, maybe 2008, Uganda's challenge, and those days we had what they used to call PIP, Poverty Eradication Action Plan, or what we call action program, PIP. And the challenge with that is that we talked of industry, but we had no electricity enough. Now people are saying, and even experts in energy are saying, by maybe end of next year, once we have finished our Karuma, Yago, and others, we should be having about slightly over 2,000 megawatts that we would be getting every day. So the challenge now will move to how do we evacuate this electricity to different places. The challenge will be how do we attract industries to consume all this energy, all this power. The challenge will be how do we convince domestic investors to expand, to invest more. Because whenever we talk, we normally want to forget domestic investors. But some of the domestic investors and individuals have a lot of money, that once you assure them that you have enough electricity, they'll be able to invest. The other challenge we had was roads. We had no infrastructure. We had no good roads. Okay.
Government has been investing one of the priorities, has been roads. And now we are even graduating, we are saying now tourism roads and export promotion roads. We want tourism roads and export promotion roads. Roads going like to Bwindi, because those are important because we get money out of it. Roads going to connect us with DR Congo will be important. So what we now are looking at and what we should continue doing is looking at having enough electricity, ample, having enough roads to take us everywhere, because you need to collect raw materials from raw areas, you need to collect products to export from raw areas, you need to collect food for people in Kampala from raw areas. So you need roads, you need health services. A lot of money first was put in infrastructure, health center to build the facilities. So maybe we need now to be moving into buying a lot of medicine, but maybe there will never be enough medicine. You are a developing country. And so education. I've already told you that you are producing a lot and you are putting a burden, of course, on the government kitty with regard to health and education. Because then, while people of UP, some people, they fall out, they don't finish, but at least they are in school more than before. And you see why we're having a problem with UPE. UPE was not for everybody. UPE was for those, especially like my Inkorera Rubutos, the 69, 68% of households who could not afford to take their children to school. This was their opportunity. Once the government brought UPE, you all entered it. So you have put
How do
pressure.
you know if we are all Nkolera Lubuto?
We'll have that discussion in another segment, but I know most people in Kampala, because Uganda's GDP, 60% of Uganda's GDP is concentrated in Kampala, Wakiso and Mukono, 60%.
Okay. To thank you for your time, let me also give you a minute to talk about what you do.
Yes.
As Uganda Export Promotions Board.
Yes.
You will not advertise. I want it this is what I want you to tell me.
Go ahead.
What is your contribution to see the good we have talked about that we want, the dreams that we would actually love to see in reality? What is your contribution in what you do? How are you contributing to what we want to see?
Yeah, and thank you for that question. What we have done in our small way, subject to the budget constraint.
What do you mean when you say small way?
What we have undertaken a national campaign on.
No, you said in our small way.
It will be the last part as I conclude.
Okay.
So what we have done, Jordan is putting me on the spot, but he's right. We have undertaken national awareness on exports. They are important. And as I talk now, my staff are in different places, and we are going to all these places explaining that, one, we have begun encouraging people to produce for the market, both the domestic market and export market. But we are telling them that, you can produce for the domestic market and also the export market. That therefore puts pressure on you to produce more, because then your market has expanded. And we go on to make a business case to show that when you export again, you can get more money in addition to what you sell domestically. We are not stopping anybody from producing for the domestic market, because that is not the way, because the domestic market also has to consume. So we are on that campaign. The next thing we have done is what we call export readiness assessment. Given our budget constraint, we are doing 50 per season, 50 companies. But now when we realize that of course the pressures are high, we put an online. We have also created an online tool whereby anybody who wants to be assessed, producers, exporters, traders, they can log in and then fill their form, then we assess them. Then after we have assessed these exporters, we bring them and train them as a big group. Then after a big group, we segment them, we train them based on their level of readiness.
Okay.
Then we handhold them, we take them to the market. Like I told you at the beginning, our markets are beginning to be very near us. In history, it used to be Europe, which was very far. But now our markets are Kenya. Our markets are Tanzania. Our markets are South Sudan. Our markets are Rwanda. Our markets are DR Congo. Let me tell you, we need, once DR Congo's roads and everything has been sorted out, we are a big market for them, they are a big market for us.
Okay.
So we need to train people to know how
There's
to
somewhere you said your people are out there
Yeah.
sensitizing people on what produce they have to put to the market and how.
Yes.
Yes, their teacher, the senior teacher, Fajilman, they told me,
Yeah.
you cannot talk to a student, forget the parent and the teacher, and you think this student will pass very well. Aren't you making the same mistake?
Because you see what we are doing,
You're only talking to the producers.
we are talking to the producers,
Mm.
we are talking to the traders, we are also talking, we are involving the government. What we have been doing, we have what we call in-field sessions. We go to producers in their fields who are in organized groups. We bring buyers, exporters who are exporters who are based here. We take them there. We have a discussion in the field. We discuss issues of quality. We discuss the demands. We discuss, and these exporters will tell you there and then, as we leave the fields, they give their telephone numbers, we get orders right away.
Okay.
So we are linking producers to exporters directly. Then we bring in the politicians to put the message back home because they want
To ensure
they
policies
want
that
votes.
are favorable.
They want to vote so therefore they do
No,
why
no, no,
people
no.
get money.
Why are you looking at their votes? It should be why we pay them.
That discussion we also have that one also. I know.
Okay, we
I
are
know.
coming towards the end of the show, Dr. Eli
Yeah.
Twineyo.
Yes.
The Christmas message I would want from you is to the Ugandan watching us, watching you on TV. When we talk about the economy, Uganda, we are actually talking to him or her.
Yes.
How or what does he have to do to have an assessment with more positives than negatives come December 31st, 2020?
Fellow Ugandans who are watching UBC, the oldest television in this country, as you know. I grew watching it. That time even it would stop around 11, I think so. And there would be ice on that, but now you have modernized, you have all the colors, and I congratulate you. I call upon fellow Ugandans to be more hopeful, because Uganda's economy, as the Minister of Finance, Honorable Matia Kasaija, told you, is moving upwards. I don't know how to make the sound he made, but it is going upwards, and that's for sure. For you to get out of poverty, and no politician should lie you that he will get you out of poverty without you selling anything in the market. You must produce something that you sell in the market. Every household, I beg you, please produce something you sell in the market. And all of you there, everything you are producing has a market in Uganda and outside of Uganda. Please produce that. But also, Uganda Export Promotion Board and the government every day is strengthening us. We think that we are going to be able, maybe by end of next year, to be in regional offices, but also we want to see how we are going to work with the private sector, who are organized in different districts and different places, so that we have information centers with the private sector that we can guide you. You can produce something that is not consumed here and export it. You don't have to produce what is consumed in Uganda. Okay. You can produce something that you can export and you make money.
Okay.
And the government, to which I am an agent, because we are an agents of government. Yes. We are not civil service, we are not a ministry, and I don't speak on behalf of any ministry. I speak on behalf of Uganda Export Promotion Board. Is committed to improving marketing, and marketing leading to exports, because all countries that developed have exported.
Doctor, I want to thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much.
And all the information we have shared.
Thank you.
This evening.
Thank you very much.
To you watching us, when we talk about Uganda, it is only you and me that we are talking about. So, How do you modernize whatever you're doing to make it marketable? How do you commercialize your garden to ensure you can sell beyond Nakasero or even Nakasero, because some products
Yeah.
may not make it to Nakasero because of their quality. So according to him, those are some of the things that have affected our economy 2019, but he has also given us a number of things that can be done, especially if we want to see positive results come 2020. We start to wish you the best of the celebrations of the festive season. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Bye-bye.